here we go. We're
Just
alive.
do it. It'll turn out okay, and hopefully this will be the last time I had technical issues with this computer because hopefully by tomorrow I'll have a brand new computer that isn't 7 years old and it'll process stuff much faster. All these glitches won't be a thing of the past. Knock on wood. But speaking of glitches,
So, so Tony Montana asks, "Do you still have it saved somewhere? Can I please upload my Guardians 3 review?" Absolutely, man. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that I still have it. So yeah, I can look through my files and see it. I totally spaced out about uploading it onto my channel, but yeah, I will get to it as soon as I can.
but but speaking of glitches and stuff, I think before this series came out, I could be wrong, but I think Guardians was one of the least known franchises of Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, before the original movie came out, I never even heard of Guardians of the Galaxy, and so and then I mean, you really gotta admit that for Marvel, like that for Marvel to make the the movie version out of it was a huge risk because nobody had ever even heard of them at that time, and Guardians truly was the movie like that made Chris Pratt like as famous as he is now, and so so yeah, I mean, to be fair, I really don't think a lot of people ever even heard of the Guardians at that time.
And now it's like one of the best people consider it one of the best Marvel trilogies of the modern age.
Yeah, and and that risk definitely paid off. It's because that now Guardians of the Galaxy like is one of the most popular movies ever made. Like, soon as you say that name, people instantly know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, did Guardians come out in Phase 2 or Phase 3?
I'm pretty sure it was around the end of Phase Two. I'm pretty sure, but I guess we'd have to do some research just to be sure. But yeah, I know it came out in August 2014, and the reason why it was in August 2014 was because Marvel really wasn't sure if it was going to be a hit or not, so they were like, "Hey, let's put it in August." So yeah, I mean, nobody had even the nobody had that sort of inclination that Guardians was going to be as big of a hit as it ended up being. So yeah.
So you mentioned one of the stars already, the major star, Chris Pratt, who plays Star Lord.
Yep.
Beginning the movie, he's kidnapped from rural America.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, and one of the things about Guardians was like that it really had a big use of all like these old classic songs, like such as "Hooked on a Feeling" and all these other classic old songs. And I really feel like that Guardians truly made all those old songs popular again.
yeah, I wonder if he got the new. I wonder if uh, Star Lord or whatever his real name is got some new way of power his Walkman. Otherwise, that's some very good battery power for that Walkman.
Right.
So,
Yeah, Walkman. You never hear about those anymore.
mm.
Maybe I need to turn on more light in my. Hey, Simba. There we go. Because I noticed sometimes I would be in silhouette, so hope that that works. But yeah, did you see Guardians when it came out at the movie theater?
Yes.
And what were your thoughts on it?
Well, at first I was like, "This is interesting." I didn't get the full content until later. I thought it was just to me it was just, at the time it was just a good movie.
Right. And yeah, and I also believe that Guardians was the movie like that made Dave Bucesta like as famous as he is
Batista?
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I already knew who he was before because I used to watch wrestling. So
Right. Yeah. I like to watch wrestling, but there are people who are definitely much more hardcore fans.
yeah, I'm definitely not a hardcore fan. I haven't really watched it that much at all in the past year or so. I just watch reviews of it now.
Well,
But
you know, he certainly isn't the first wrestler. Well, he certainly isn't the first wrestler like to become a big name
yeah.
movie star. So,
Oh, that would be the guy from the DC movies, but who pretty who you could say almost crashed that franchise.
yeah, definitely.
But we start the movie off with Peter Quill, that's his name, looking trying to go for what we later find out is the Power Stone.
But yeah, I haven't seen the first Guardians ever since it first came out on DVD. So my memory's gonna be pretty vague on it. So,
I haven't seen that. I haven't watched it again lately too. But my memory is unfortunately is better and is good sometimes.
but yeah, what I do remember is that I definitely thought that the villains in the next two movies definitely like were much better villains than the villain in the original movie. Like you know,
Ronan.
but yeah, if I were to be honest, I think that the villain in Guardians 3 is the best villain yet, but I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Yeah, but if you don't, I believe the villain in this movie was also the same villain from the Captain Marvel movie years later.
Well, I haven't ever seen Captain Marvel, so
Oh, it's the villain's the main villain's name. Well, the overall, his name is Ronan the Destroyer, and he's a Kree, member of the Kree race.
but yeah, from what I heard about Captain Marvel, a lot of people said that they didn't think it was that very good. So it sounds like maybe that I dodged a bullet.
I think that's pretty. I thought it pretty good. It took place it took place in the 90s, so
Which was interesting, and yeah, and I heard that because of that, a lot of the film's budget like went towards de aging Samuel L. Jackson.
yeah. I think the movie was good. What people took more issues with was the star's personal stuff issues.
Yeah, from what I heard, Brie Larson. Now, of course, I haven't ever met her, so this is just judging off of what I've heard. I've heard that she's kind of difficult to work with on set. Like from what I heard, a lot of her co-stars during Avengers Endgame had a hard time getting along with her. Excuse me. So, but hey, but at least she's not as bad as Amber Heard.
Mm-hmm. Has tried to sue anybody trying for false accusations or anything.
Yeah, you know, and at least she didn't poop on someone's bed.
So, all right. Well, anyways, he's working for Peter's working for a group called the Ravagers, or was working for Ravagers, and they're after the Power Stone. Stuff happens, and he gets thrown in jail along with Drax, Rocket, Groot, and Gamora. I think that was the original 5.
I believe so. Yeah.
And they do a little jailhouse bonding.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about the other characters real fast.
Okay.
We can go in more detail about Peter next when we learn more about his backstory, and I guess we learn about Rocket's backstory in the third movie. But first, there's Rocket. He hates to be called a raccoon. That's what it really is. Groot, a tree thing.
I am Groot.
Best paycheck that guy. Who's his voice actor again?
Vin Diesel. I mean, talk about the easiest like voiceover job ever, where you just have to say 3 words over and over and over again. Talk
Just
about the easiest job ever.
emphasizing different parts. Like, I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. Different different ways you say it mean different things.
Right. Which I do remember that there was that really funny scene in the original Guardians, like where Star Lord was getting really irritated, like with Groot, like he was saying, "Oh my God, why is that the only thing that you can say?" All right, maybe now it won't be so. Yes. All right, so maybe now I won't be in silhouette now. So,
Coming to the light.
all right, coming to the light, we got cookies.
I wish I knew why our cameras are backwards. Both mine and yours are all reversed, mirror version.
I have no idea, but
Yeah. Then we meet Drax, the muscle of the group.
yep, played by Dave. Who's that, sir?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Whose family was killed by Thanos.
Which and then,
Behind,
which and then, like, just adds to all the tension in Avengers: Infinity War and in Avengers: Endgame.
yeah. Like I said, by this time we knew he was the main villain, but he's more behind the scenes at this point.
Right. I believe we saw Thanos during like a post-credit scene. Was it in Guardians 1 or was it in Avengers: Age of Ultron?
Well, it was in it's a well in Guardians 1 he wasn't behind he was part of the main cast kind of, but he was one directing Rowan and directing Gore Moore and all them.
Okay,
But
yeah. Now that I remember, during the post-credit scene, we actually saw Howard the Duck, which was, which was a pretty big deal that they did that, because there was that infamous Howard the Duck movie by George Lucas, and there's a reason why that it's infamous. It's because it bombed at the box office, and it has a reputation of being a pretty bad movie. But now, almost 10 years later, I don't know what the point to having Howard the Duck in that part was now, because,
just an Easter egg.
well, yeah, but they never followed up on it. Like, there never was a Disney Plus show, or
Well,
now look,
they haven't followed up on a lot of things. They could have
yeah.
really.
I mean, it is a shame, but
But to answer your question, there the Thanos uh post credit scene was in Avengers 1 and 2. In Avengers
okay.
1, they first showed his face, like after the Avengers beat Loki. In Avengers 2, he got the gauntlet and says, "I'll do it myself."
Okay,
And
but yeah,
oh, then finally there was Gamora, the one of the adopted daughters of Thanos, who he picked off of the planet after he killed half of its population.
yeah, yeah. I will never forget when I saw Infinity War at the movie theater. I was like, oh my god, he killed her, and then, well, spoilers, they ended up bringing her back, but it's not the same version.
Yeah, time travel's a bitch.
Yeah, and so and then all that chemistry like that Star Lord and Gamora had gone. Which I mean, it does make it more interesting though, like that the fact they did that though.
Yeah. So, so, so what do you remember about? You remember anything about the plot of the first movie at all?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I haven't seen it since like late 2014, so that was a long time ago.
Uh, if anybody in chat want to talk about the movie, ask questions about the movie or opinion on it, feel free to.
Yep, go right ahead. Yeah, maybe people in the chat can help refreshing my memory on it because I haven't seen it in 9 years, and I can't believe 2014 was almost 10 years ago now. But time just zooms on by. But
So,
yeah, if the chat doesn't have anything to say about Guardians 1, I guess we can move on to Guardians 2.
oh, let me do a quick recap of what I remember of it.
Okay.
Me and jail. They break out. They break out of jail. The great prison jail, and the Power Stone. They go to where their power broker is, called Nowhere, I believe, and they learn what it is. The one of his slave girls grabs it and dies. They tried to hide the stone on Xandor, that planet that the Kree want to conquer or blow up or something. Because the Kree are a warrior race, kind of like the Klingons.
Huh. I think maybe it was a typo on his part to put the R before Avengers, but okay.
The Ravengers, that was the pirate group of the pirates.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and during the post-credit scene and during the Avengers where he saw Thanos, from my understanding, that actually was not played by Josh Brolin. It was played by somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's right. But they go to Xandor, the planet, and Ronan confronts them. They all try to grab the Power Stone. He the a big he start oh he tries to do a dance off. If he does a dance off with Rowan, who he
Okay.
thinks is stupid because They grab the stone. They all work together. Friendship is magic. Ronan is defeated, and Groot dies.
Yeah, it dies.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in Guardians 2. Yeah, but there's I don't know if it's ever discussed if that's a whole new, if he was reincarnated as a whole new Groot from that was different.
From what I remember, I think that he just regrew, but granted, I haven't seen it in a long, long time. Yeah, yeah, I thought so. I don't remember who it was either, but yeah, I'm guessing maybe that they recast Thanos because they wanted to have like a big name actor involved. So
But that pretty much ends the first movie.
then on to Volume Two, which I believe is the first sequel to have like the title of Volume Two, because usually sequels will just have the two in it, or some will be called Part Two or Episode Two. But yeah,
And also, I think this is the first movie besides maybe Iron Man 2 that even though it happened years later in real life, it if I remember the timeline correctly, it takes place pretty much right after Guardians 1.
which is
And
which kind of reminds me about how Incredibles 2 takes place right after, even though that it was made like what, 15 years after.
yeah. But yeah, they're in this one that they're uh again they're taking stuff and they go to deliver something to the things. But of course, oh no, first before they get that, we have the big battle where they get the stuff from a giant slug monster, tentacle slug monster, and with the everyone talking about they're all battling except for Groot who's doing a little music dancing thing.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see the original Guardians at the movie theater, but I did see Volume Two and Volume Three in theaters, and yeah, I will never forget the theater was packed when I saw Volume Two in theaters, and yeah, when Volume Two came out, I remember everybody went absolutely nuts like over like the baby version like of Groot, which I mean, I at that time like baby versions of popular characters like were really popular. Like say you had Baby Groot and Baby Yoda absolutely exploded in the mainstream. Like everybody wanted to buy Baby Yoda stuff.
Wrong.
And then in the first Sonic the Hedgehog, like you had the Baby Sonic. So I'm really not surprised that they had the Baby Groot.
Wrong link. Oh, before you go on, I sent the wrong link. But here's the right one. Hopefully, come on, cut and paste. I now have. If anybody's interested, I have T-shirts now.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that actually, and yeah, and but yeah, I definitely will be sure to get one of the shirts soon. But yeah, how does it feel knowing that you have your own shirts now?
It's cool, it'll be cool, waiting to see if I'm big enough to get attention with shirts yet. But the point I have it out there now.
Okay. Ghost Rider asks, is Baby Yoda the one we know in the original trilogy? From my understanding, it's not the same Yoda from the original trilogy. It's not Yoda per se, but it's just a part of the same species as him. So
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, they talk about later when if you ever do about a series about the Mandolin or something. But anyways, meanwhile, we have also a flashback of where we meet Peter's father, de-aged Michael Douglas. That who it is?
I think it's Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Which is
Michael
funny
Douglas
because
is Ant-Man.
not the first time he was de-aged, because I believe he also was de-aged in Tron Legacy. Was he in Tron Legacy? I'm pretty sure he was. More than certain that he was. Oh no, it wasn't Kurt Russell. It actually was Jeff Bridges. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
But this, this is the era. This is the era of the de-aging CGI things. Him. There was Princess Leia in Rogue One. Everyone's being de-aged by CGI. Some better than others.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah,
But anyways,
I did like Volume 2, but I definitely do like the original movie better. Like my own personal rankings of the movies, Volume 3, the original, and then Volume 2. Like I'm not saying that Volume 2 is bad by any means, but yeah, but what I did find really funny though, like, was how Rocket Raccoon was making fun of one of the bad guys, like and how he was calling him Taserface.
oh yeah,
I thought that was hilarious. I will never forget when I saw that in theaters. Everybody was just roaring in laughter about it.
so we learn. I don't know if we learned this on here, but we learned that later on, Ego is a Marvel character called a celestial, who's pretty much a planet. He's pretty much a planet sized person. A planet has a soul in it.
Interesting.
And he's pretty much been busy throughout the galaxy or universe, spreading his seed, as you say.
Okay. Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, they pretty much were separate, except for the Phantos part connecting them until they all met together in Infinity War. We learned that the Ravagers were originally kidnapped Peter to give to his father. But they decide, you know what? We'll keep him for ourselves and raise him as one of our own.
But yeah, I thought it was cool in Volume 2, like how we got more backstory, like about Star Lord, and yeah, I thought it was cool to like that we got to meet his dad, and I believe during the part with the DH Kurt Russell, wasn't there like a scene of them at like Dairy Queen?
Oh yeah. Uh,
Which yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised when the movie came out. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like some merchandise tie-in.
so we reintroduced to to an older character, Gamora's sister, Nebula, who they have a little rivalry with in the past, where every time one's defeated, that defeated one gets replaced by a robot part. And at this point, Nebula's pretty much all robot.
Interesting.
And when we meet, I found out Peter has a sister, Mantis.
Oh yeah, Mantis. She's the one like who has like those really big black eyes, right?
Yeah, and the antennas
Yeah, yeah.
who can put people to sleep or whatever. They can like change people's memories.
I definitely wish that I had that power.
Yeah, but we find out. I guess I don't remember the exact details, but Ego, named the planet Father Planet, wants Peter to take over his body. You know, because or steals energy or something. It was something. But meanwhile, back on the Ravagers thing, where Groot and Rocket are, there's a mutiny happening, and Taserface takes over the ship and cuts off Yondu's uh, fin mind control arrow thing from his head. And then we get the little cute little sequence of events where they go tell Groot to go get something out of the room. It keeps on bringing on the wrong thing each time. A pen, underwear, other things.
All right, 2110 asks, I know this might sound stupid, but what reason did Peter's dad kill his mom for that reveal in Guardians of Flying 2? I haven't seen the movie since I saw it in theaters in 2017, so my memory is very vague on it.
I think it was just so. I think it was just so he could have Peter for himself with no interference. I think that's pretty much the reason. It's like, well, mother, I can just take him, no problem. Because that's how Earth things work, right?
I guess plot wise, it gave him and his son that much more of a, more tension like for the plot.
Because the Ravagers kidnap him pretty much right after his mom dies after he went out from the hospital. So, timing.
Speech to Rocket. Do you mean that for the second movie, Ghost Rider?
Anyways, they connect the they reattach his thing, and then plus then they start the I've seen memes of this before, where he whistles, and the arrow kills everybody on the ship pretty much. Just shoots at this goes this magical arrow just plot device kills everybody.
Okay. And okay, so Ghost Rider says, yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie since 2017, so my memory's pretty vague on it. So I do remember the opening with the dancing baby Groot. I remember Taserface. I remember the de-aged Kurt Russell. I do remember the very end with like that Mary Poppins joke. And yeah, I thought the Mary Poppins joke was pretty funny. Other than that, I'm struggling trying to remember anything else. But yeah, it sounds like we don't have anything else to say about Guardians 2.
Let me see. Oh, they all they destroy he destroys the ship. They escape. They go to the planet, and then comes one of my favorite scenes of the movie. They're trying to kill Ego with a bomb, and Rocket says, "Okay, click this switch, and you hit this button." And he's like, "But he said, tells Groot, you don't hit this button. So what do you do?" He says, "I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot." That's the wrong button. That button will kill us all. Try it again. I am Groot. I am Groot. That's the same button.
Oh yeah, yeah. I completely forgot about this scene up until when he said that. But yeah, that scene was hilarious.
Like, anybody have any tape? What do I have tape for? You gotta block the button off. And then he rips off the flip, and he's like, "We're all dead."
Ghost Rider says, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is the saddest ending in the MCU. Why do you feel that way, Ghost? I'm curious. But yeah, so what are your overall thoughts on Guardians 2? Do you like it better than
Yeah.
the original, or do you think it's a step down, or what?
I remember it. I remember it more than Guardians 1 personally because of the funny. It was. I think it had more funny scenes in it, like the dancing thing, the button thing, the arrow thing. It stands out more in my memory than the first one does.
Right. That makes sense. But yeah, now on to, in my opinion, one of the best movies I've seen this whole entire year, Guardians Volume 3.
Before we do that, we gotta do a little recap real fast.
Okay.
Between the two movies, uh, oh,
Hey!
uh,
Hello.
so the recap of Snick. Snick, we talked about the. We'll do a little recap of you. First, we talked about how Guardians was pretty much an unknown entity before it came out. A movie now became one of the best trilogies Marvel has so far, considered.
Yeah, I would say my first exposure to the Guardians was when Rocket was a playable character in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, that was pre-Guardians.
Okay.
What's your opinion of the base characters in the first movie?
I like them all. Like, I don't really have much to say. I mean...
So, if you were to rank the Guardians movies, what would you rank them as?
I think the first one might be the weakest one for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
The second one, kind of, I want to say the second and third ones are kind of equal because they both do their own really strong things.
Yeah, in my own opinion, I think that the third one is the best one because
Yeah.
that one legitimately made that one legitimately made me tear up, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't expecting that.
I think I'd rank him 3-2-1. 3 the best, 1 the worst.
Yeah, I mean, there were some slower scenes in 3 that kind of dragged it down a bit to two's level for me, but yeah, I'd say 2 and 3 are kind of equal.
And we also talked, and 2 we talked about the funny Groot scenes and stuff, like the bomb scene.
Oh yeah.
Don't push the button. I am Groot. No, I told you not to. That's the one I told you not to push. But anyways,
Montana says that Rocket's his favorite character. It's because that he's hilariously honest.
Yeah.
oh, we talked about this. Do you know if I don't know if it was ever told or not if the Groot from the second and third movie is the same Groot from the first movie or totally new like this Groot like a baby different Groot.
It is a different Groot, I believe. I think they even said in interviews that it's basically Groot's son from the first movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're doing a recap between the movies. Well, between the after 2, we see Thor crash into the ship, and at the end at the Infinity War, they do a little side mission where they half of them get a new weapon. Groot gets a new Groot and Rocket get a new weapon, while the other Guardians beat up Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange.
Are you talking about Avengers Infinity War?
Yeah, we're talking about what happened. Like, we're doing a little quick cut scene between the Guardian movies, what they were up to.
Yeah.
Where they do the famous line, "Where's Gamora? Who's Gamora? Why is Gamora?"
And then Star-Lord single-handedly dooms the universe.
Oh yeah. Oh, after Thanos kills his daughter to get the Soul Stone in front of Red Skull.
Yeah.
We find out has been sitting there for 80 years or so.
Yeah, and then Thanos also legitimately tears up at having to do it. And then Gamora, I think, doesn't even believe that it's genuine, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thor gets his weapon. Groot uses his arm for the handle, which some people think made the axe more sentient, give more emotion or something. Because the axe was part Groot. Anyways, they do their things. They battle. They win in game. They start off at the beginning of Love and Thunder, Thor: Love and Thunder, and then they separate. They go their separate ways at the beginning of that movie. Thor goes do his things with the God Killer, and then we go into the Guardians movie. That's pretty much the backstory.
So Tony Montana says that part of the Why is Gamora was completely improvised. Yeah, and I totally do agree. Like when you're doing a comedy, having all of like these improvised scenes definitely can help.
But you mentioned, sorry.
Like the whole part with Amber Turd in my last movie, that wasn't in the script, but yeah, there have some people being honest saying that it was a 2 out of place. But hey, Now we're getting off topic.
But anyways, yeah, we then spoilers, Ghost Rider,
Oh yeah, Ghost
spoilers.
Rider. You're gonna be spoiled. If you don't care about spoilers, stick around. But if you do care, you might want to leave now. Did you two see Guardians 3 in the movie theater?
I did.
I saw all three of them in theaters.
But yeah, honestly, the two best movies I've seen this whole entire year, it's a tie between Across the Spider-Verse or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume.
For me, it's either Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians 3, or John Wick 4.
I've only seen John Wick 1, but
Yeah. Like, maybe, like, I want to say Guardians. I mean, because Spider-Verse is an interesting case because, well, for Spider-Verse, the cliffhanger.
right, yeah, but
And thanks to all the revelations of what was going on with the animation company, I don't think that cliffhanger's getting resolved anytime soon.
Well, that and the little writer's strike probably.
Mm-hmm. Because around the time Across the Spider-Verse came out, freaking the voice actors revealed they hadn't recorded their dialogue for Beyond the Spider-Verse yet. And what that means is they haven't even started the animation, because the way Western animation works is that voice actors do their dialogue, then they animate so that, they can match the lips with what's being said.
Yeah.
Anime does the animation first and then the voice acting, like, lots of times. But anime can get away with that because most of the time in anime, like, when the lips move, it's just like that generic up and down thing. It's like that. Like, they're not really trying to match specific movements.
Well, I don't know if they might do that they do it when they originally do it in Japan, but when we're dubbing something, it's pretty much post.
Well, yeah, like, that's the reason why English dubs are not that hard to do with, like, anime, and the reason why is because it's not that hard to, like, match English dialogue to the lip movements, because, well, the lip movements are a lot more limited. But then there was a anime movie called Akira. Notably, that movie was a rare exception of a Japanese animated movie where they did match the lip movements to what was being said in Japanese. There's 2 separate English dubs of that movie, and you can clearly tell the English dubs, both of them, do not fully match up with what's being said. Like, and that problem also affects, like, dubs of, like, live action movies.
But yeah, I heard what you said. But yeah, if it turns out that we don't get a third movie, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to ask you this when you get back. But the strike, does that involve voice actors too, or just on camera?
I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, this whole strike now applies to video games as well.
Yeah, I think the video game people were trying to move to, like, join the strikes.
So
yeah, I guess I didn't know if there's on-screen actors or behind-the-scenes voice stuff too.
But yeah, with all this, I seriously hope that they get something resolved soon, because, Hollywood's losing millions of dollars over it, and on top of that, it's also preventing me why I like from joining as well. So they need to get their shit together soon.
But I say a joke here, but I'm not controversial anymore. But Eric, Hollywood doesn't have any money to pay these people. They're poor.
say,
Oh yeah, all those CEOs that make like 300 times more than
all of
their
them combined.
freaking than their employees, freaking all that, like, and the fucking deal that the Screen Actors Guild, the deal would cost less than 1% of these CEOs' salaries.
That
Fucking think about that. They're freaking $billion yachts and fucking all their freaking golfing, all their 5 million different mansions that they own. They don't even want to give up one of them.
But Ghost Rider, that's a really, really good question. I guess it will depend on if they're unionized, and I guess it would depend on if they are a part of the Screen Actors Guild. So, if it is non-union, I think they'll be fine. But if it is union, well, most Hollywood productions are a part of a union with the Screen Actors Guild, so it would really depend. But yeah,
But back to the movie, we meet a new character that was introduced in the. I think he was introduced in the end of Guardians 2, and seeing Adam Warlock, who I've heard, who I forgot I knew about before. So I remember him somewhere before. I saw him before, but he's a very powerful guy.
I think Adam Warlock was a key character in the comic version of the Infinity War story.
but yeah, Tony makes an excellent point. You know, nobody wants to wait a year or 2 years to see how the big Spider-Verse 2 cliffhanger would.
And the thing is, originally it was going to be less than a year. The original release for Beyond the Spider-Verse was going to be my birthday next year.
Oh my god! And
now it's not happening.
Oh, I know it's off topic, going off topic again, but did you hear about? I heard about this. How we talk about it again later when we get to talk to those movies, but how Doctor Strange was supposed to take place before No Way Home, but the COVID switched them around.
Yeah, we did talk about that a couple of times, where Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be before No Way Home, but then because of COVID delays, they had to switch them around, and they had to rewrite both movies to accommodate it. And I will maintain that Multiverse of Madness, lots of people were underwhelmed by it. And quite frankly, I feel like had Multiverse of Madness come out first, before No Way Home, people would not have been as underwhelmed by it, because Multiverse of Madness feels like it was supposed to be an introduction to like the whole multiverse thing, where just a simple introduction, nothing too crazy, and then it would lead to No Way Home when they're like, "Yup, we can really bring back these old actors and do crazy stuff with them."
Yeah, apparently they were going to have there's a rumor, at least, they're going to have America do the portals instead of Ned.
Yeah. But then again, it did kind of give Ned some development when they had him do it in No Way.
Which hopefully if he's ever in the future movies, if they ever do a future movie again after the actor strike.
Well, they confirmed Deadpool 3 is going to be kind of an evolution of like what No Way Home did, because I think they've confirmed for Deadpool 3 that they're sort of might be doing an all-star thing of sorts with like the 20th century produced Marvel movies. Like they have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman coming back. I think they said what was her name? Jennifer Garner, I think, is coming back as Elektra from the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. There might be more returning X-Men actors. I'm kind of hoping we get at least some of the old Fantastic Four actors, like bring it full circle.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage?
It was Sony.
Okay, so it was Sony and not Fox.
No, it was Sony who made Ghost Rider.
Okay, shoot, yeah. I was going to say we might potentially could see Nicolas Cage back.
I mean, I think he's expressed interest, so it's possible. Especially since Sony does not own the Ghost Rider character anymore, so they can just use him without needing to do a deal or anything.
Well, there's also different Ghost Riders too, because there's a different version of Ghost Rider in the in which may or not be canon anymore, Agents of Shield TV series.
It's funny, the game Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is a great game by the way, the main Ghost Rider who's on your team that you play as is Robbie Reyes, but the original Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, is like a key NPC.
Yeah, I think Johnny Blaze was the movie character, and Robbie Reyes was the
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. character.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we're getting way off topic.
Yeah, we are
talking about Guardians 3. So
yes, let's go back to the main topic then, real fast. Where we're back on Nowhere, and Peter is all depressed because his girlfriend is dead, but his girlfriend from the past is alive, but doesn't remember anything about him. When Adam attacks and almost kills Rocket. Because the villain, the High Evolutionary, wants him back to pick his brain, or to actually get his brain. Apparently, he was one of the smartest creations.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to a planet called Earth 2, or I guess.
Oh.
I don't know. That's what I call it. People call it. I think it's pretty much Earth, but with human animals.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was all your opinion of the third movie?
Well, I enjoyed it a bunch. I mean, Rocket's story was very, very emotional. And I will say that the villain of the movie, because of that emotional story of Rocket's, he is easily one of the most hateable villains in the MCU. Let's just say, freaking, when he finally gets what's coming to him, it's one of the most cathartic MCU villain defeats.
You know, I heard rumors that with Master's current situation, that people were talking about having the guy who played the Evolutionary be the new King.
Oh, be the new Kang? You mean Jonathan Majors?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Kang actor, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, whoever played the High Evolutionary.
That guy would replace him. Okay.
Like High Evolutionary, like saying the High Evolutionary was another King variant, maybe.
Oh, okay. I mean, they have, because Kang is basically the Thanos of this MCU arc. Like, he's the overarching villain. Oh yeah, here's a little fun fact about Guardians 3. Outside the Netflix shows and freaking Spider-Man's cutting off of it, Guardians 3 is the first full uncensored F-bomb in the entire MCU. Not counting those examples from before. Mm-hmm. So. Yes, Tony Montana. He is one of the most hateable villains in the whole thing. So.
Yeah. So we get like a Oh, oh yes. Talk about the villain because once he gets a first he invented the talking animals, and then once they create the human type animals, he pretty much killed off his old thing except for Rocket. He
Yeah.
slaughtered them all.
Um, the villain of the third movie, I swear, he's one of the best movie villains I've ever seen. Like you truly hate him, and then like at the end when he finally gets what he deserves, it's satisfying as hell.
Yes.
Yeah, while you were gone, we talked about how there's rumors that the guy who plays him might be the new king if the current actor legal problems don't go away.
Oh, okay.
I forget what exactly his legal problems were, but yeah. And he kills them. Then he puts them all on the Earth type planet, and then after after he like gets a new set of things, he pretty much blows that planet up because
Yeah.
because because you're all useless to me now.
They're completely useless now.
Uh,
But yeah, were any of you expecting like to actually cry while watching this movie?
I mean, I figured his friends were gonna die because they had not been seen or mentioned before this point. I'll admit, I came close to feeling emotional just because of the performance that Bradley Cooper puts in.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like there actually was a moment in the movie where I genuinely thought that Rocky Raccoon like was gonna die, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
then there's also the drama between uh New Gamora and Peter, where he's still obsessed with his ex girlfriend, dead girlfriend, but she's
But
not there
because
because
of Infinity War and Endgame's events, she has no memory of that.
they technically they never met.
Yeah.
Because time travel is a bitch.
Yes.
Oh, and did anybody? I think it also takes place between. Did anyone ever see the Guardian Christmas special?
I have
yes,
not.
I did.
I have not.
Definitely way better than the Star Wars one.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about it a little bit.
I finally saw the Star Wars one like a year ago. I wanted to bash my head against the wall, and
I need to. That is a candidate for one of the things I want to watch with some friends that I watch movies with online. A couple of them are on Twitter.
oh my god, it's so cringe.
I would not want to watch it by myself. I need to watch it with a group I could riff it with.
Yeah, just so that you can have fun with it. But yeah,
Oh, this is off topic. Only one official copy of that special exists. Freaking, it was made by George Lucas specifically for Carrie Fisher, who wanted a copy of the special in exchange for recording the DVD commentary for the original trilogy. Supposedly, during her lifetime, freaking, she used that copy of the special given to her at parties. She would put it on whenever she wanted people to leave.
wow.
But on same topic. But in that movie, like the hallucinatory, Luke's face was messed up, like
Yeah,
face was.
and he was wearing all that really cringe makeup. which made him look like a doll.
Yeah. And
But in
supposedly the reason
episode
he had to
5,
wear all that is because his face got injured in a car accident and they had to do the filming, and like that's the only thing they could do at short notice.
but yeah, then in episode 5, they wisely decided to write that into the script.
Oh
Well, they hit-
yeah, the scar he had on his face, right?
Yeah.
when the guy punched him in the nose, the monster. But anyways, oh, we also back to the Guardians. Apparently, Drax and Mantis have bonded a little bit.
Yeah.
So, what was the final? You remember the final showdown of that movie?
I know that the High Evolution, like, basically it was just like invading the ship, and like the High Evolutionary doesn't show up until Rocket took like the detour, and like he found like all the animal cages where he originally came from, and he just slowly just opened them, let them free, and then the High Evolutionary shows up, starts kicking his ass. Freaking, but then all the Guardians come in and they give the High Evolutionary all the mother of all beatdowns, which he freaking deserved.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Is he the most hated villain so far in the
In the MCU, yes, I'd say so.
And it serves him right. And but yeah, it's a reputation well deserved, if you were to ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't even have the good excuse like Thanos had, I guess, about I'm saving the universe. Like killing half the population. This guy was just an ass.
Nah, all he does is create populations, and then he kills them when they're not absolutely perfect in his mind. And even if they are perfect in his mind at first, eventually they're not perfect, and then they need to die. Like, give Thanos some credit. When he snapped away half the population, he was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, I also did like what they did, like with Will Poulter, because I feel like that after he did Weird the Millers, I feel like that he got really, really typecast afterwards, and I feel like people weren't taking him seriously because he did that movie. But I truly do feel like that this movie definitely did prove that he is much more than that.
Fun fact about Will Poulter, he was originally supposed to play Pennywise in the It
He was.
And then, unfortunately,
and the new one or the old?
And then
new one,
they got
the old
Bill
one.
Skarsgård. So,
talking about the new It
new
movie.
ones, new ones.
Yep, the new one. Very interesting choice. I think he has the face for it. It would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, but ultimately, I definitely am very satisfied. Well, like with Bill Skarsgård, and somebody even did like a fan casting of like Will Poulter as Sid
from Toy Story.
Yeah, from Toy Story, and I mean, I can see it. It's because he looks.
Yeah, like especially Sid as an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Sid. So.
All he'd have to do is dye his hair black.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Will Poulter as Sid, best casting ever.
So, yeah, the movie ends. Peter goes back to Earth to meet with his grandfather, who's still alive.
Yeah.
Drax stays on nowhere, becomes a father figure, the father for all these new orphans.
And
Mantis.
I think. Well, yeah, you can finish first.
Mantis, I guess, becomes a space therapist. maybe. I forget what she does. And we have the new set of Guardians with Rocket, a big buff Groot, Adam Warlock, the talking dog, one of the orphans, and the guy who has the arrow power now.
Yeah, I think they've implied, like, going forward in the future for the MCU, that the Guardians are probably going to be led by Rocket now.
Which surprised me because I heard Guardians 3 was supposed to be the final Guardians movie, but I think maybe it's possible I could have misunderstood it. I think it means that it's gonna be the last one with like Chris Pratt and Dave Bautista and
Well, definitely Dave Bautista.
I think they've confirmed Dave Bautista's not coming back.
Yeah, he wanted this to be a three and done thing. But the end credits of Guardians said Peter Quill will be back. Star will be back. So
So we might get Chris Pratt again, but other than that, like, I guess other than him and Rocket and the new group, freaking the original crew is basically done.
And the little girl, that was one of the orphans, right? That they rescued.
I think.
Remember, did Guardians come out before or after the fourth Jurassic Park movie?
Before.
Guardians 1, Guardians 1 came out the year before, and so and I mean the 2010s were like a fantastic time for Chris Pratt because 2014 Guardians made him really big. Then just the year after, he was in another profitable franchise with the Jurassic Park franchise with Jurassic World.
Yeah.
So overall, that's the Guardian trilogy.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth its praise? People give it.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, as a director, Eric, would you have done anything differently if you were directing the series? If it was you instead of James Gunn, and what would you do differently?
That's a really, really good question because I definitely think it would be very nice. Like if I had a budget, like that he did, I would have a lot more creative freedom. Let's see. I would work on some of the pacing, Guardians 1 and 2, even though I like the movies. Some of the pacing, I would have done the villain better in the original movie, but I mean, to be fair, the villains in the movies afterwards definitely did get better anyway, so...
I mean, Ego and the Evolutionary.
Yeah, especially the villain in Volume 3. Like, man, he's the most ruthless villain in... I mean, I say that him and Thanos definitely would be, as far as Marvel villains go, he's definitely in the top 5.
Okay, you missed the talk we got there, but Snick, did you remember the villain in the first movie, Ronan, or at all, or was he memorable to you?
Not really. I just remember what he looked like.
Yeah, I agree. What about the villain in the second movie?
Oh yeah, Ego, the Living Planet, definitely some Kurt Russell stuff.
What about the sub villain, Taserface?
I don't know about that one.
The Field Mutiny, but yeah. So, anything coming up on your? I think coming up soon. Got to wrap this up. But anything coming up on your channel that you want to advertise?
So for me, I am coming close to the 100th episode of Things That Piss Me Off. So gonna do a few episodes leading up to the 100th episode. For the 100th episode, I'm gonna remake one of the most popular Things That Piss Me Off episodes I have ever done. I'm gonna remake episode 3, which yeah, it's highly regarded as one of the best episodes I have ever done. still to this day regarded as one of the best ones. And so I wanted to remake it for a while. So yeah, me and Travis decided we're going to remake that. So look forward to that. And on my channel, I'm doing a few more episodes of Let's Watch a Movie. It's where I stream a bunch of public domain films. Uh, but yeah, if there's ever a public domain movie that you want to see streamed on my channel, just let me know, and we'll take it from there.
I know, Snick. I know you not recently, but you posted some shorts of games you've been playing.
Yeah, sometimes I put up game clips. Very rarely, I might put up an SFM animation. I mean, most of the time on Twitter, I'll sometimes put up pictures I make. But other than that, like, I don't do. Like, I was about to live stream the Separate Ways DLC for RE4 remake, but then I decided, I didn't really want to do it.
Maybe we can talk about that. Maybe after you're done, we can talk about that DLC later on the year.
I guess.
But as for me, next Saturday, I'll have my guest, the Venerable Beat, on talk about the Punic Wars. In 2 weeks, nothing's happening, but in 3 weeks, we'll be back on Saturday the 14th. Saturday the 14th to talk about Friday the 13th series.
That one I could definitely talk about because I
one
watched
day
those
one day later. Talking about Friday the 13th on Saturday the 14th.
I'm excited for that. But anyways, we probably should get wrapping up.
Then after that, we're talking about the Arctic Federation. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. Never stop learning. Enjoy the randomness. We'll see you then. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.